Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Slab and Gab today, where we talk about some graded cards from my collection. And this is going to be a really short episode. I just have a single pickup from maybe a month or two ago that I wanted to show off. Fits the theme of the cards that you see in the background there, which is Ken Griffey Jr. cards, and specifically shiny Ken Griffey Jr. cards. So as a kid baseball fan in the 90s, it was impossible not to be a fan of Griffey. He just was, the man in the hobby throughout the 90s, much like Mike Trout dominated the hobbies in the 2010s. I would say that those two guys were the players of their decades, unquestionably. And as an impressionable, preteen and teen in the 90s following the sport of baseball, I loved Griffey. So I would love to be a Ken Griffey Jr. collector to some extent, and I guess I am. Having some cards is all that it takes to qualify. But I certainly have too many hobby interests to compete with the big Griffey collectors out there. Because he was the darling of the 90s, he just has hardcore collecting base, and these people have a ton of money, and their sole focus is Griffey. So I can't really compete in that age or with that bracket of collector, just because I'm into too many other things and I don't want to dedicate all of my hobby budget to Griffey cards. But I do try to keep an eye out for cheaper slabbed Griffies that I can get at a discount. The two in the background were some that I'd shown off on a previous episode here on the channel of a couple of my CSG Griffey slabs, some nice Dufex foil out of Pinnacle on both of those. This pickup is a modern card. This came out just last season, but it's a set that goes back to the 90s, and really I think it's just a fantastic card for that reason. Got this at a steal for less than $30 shipped. This is the Ken Griffey Jr. Refractor out of 2021 Topps Stadium Club Chrome, and you can see the refractor here, refractor technology working very well. You get me in the background there because I've got some backlighting. But just a really bright card. I like that the photograph is a little bit different. Many of my Griffey cards feature him at bat, and understandably so, but I love this shot of him about to slide into third as the throw literally comes in from behind, and the third base coach is asking him to get into the slide there on the right. Just a really stellar photograph, which is what you would come to expect out of Stadium Club over the years. They did a fantastic job with this, and getting any Griffey refractor already slabbed in a grade of 9, is a pretty good deal for under $30. He's just really hard to compete with as far as his other collectors, and was really happy that I was able to bring this one home on a budget, especially since I'm a big Stadium Club fan and love Stadium Club refractors, specifically. So nice looking card. Bargain price, and I think it looks pretty good in the SGC Tux as well. So clearly, as you can tell here, I'm not beholden to any one grader. I am very much a buy the card, not the grade person. I just like having them authenticated. And so we've got CSG in the background. I've shown PSA Griffies before, and now we have my first SGC Griffey to join into the mix. So cool card. Here's a look at the back. Standard Stadium Club fare. They do denote that it's a refractor there in the upper left corner. So these are not super, rare cards or anything, but I think the price point that I got this at was pretty fair. And above all else, it's just fun to look at and very beautiful, and a player that reminds me of the baseball fandom of my youth. So that is all I have for today. Just a short and quick one-card slab and gab. Definitely appreciate you stopping by to check out the Griffey. And we'll certainly be back in the very near future with more sports card content. Until then, enjoy the hobby and take care.